So, first, quick review. What is the short run in economic analysis? And in economic analysis, the short run is a period of sticky wages. And what we mean by sticky wages is the idea that because of contracts and other expectations and other kind of ways that the economy functions and our relationships with each other function, what it means is that when prices in general go up, some prices are slow to go up or might not go up at all. So when inflation is increasing by 4, 5, 6, 7%, my contract as a teacher does not reflect a 4, 5, 6, 7% increase instantaneously. It's not going to reflect that until the next year or potentially even longer than that. By contrast, the long run is a period of flexible prices and wages. And sometimes you'll see us add this phrase, fully flexible. And the long run in this sense is hypothetical. It's not a real time, but it's a period where we imagine that all contracts have been renewed, have reached their endpoint, and are available to be renegotiated. So it's this period when prices go up in the economy. In essence, all prices go up together. And again, this isn't really a time that we can exist in. There's no point at which all prices truly move together, as we talked about in our inflation unit. But we can imagine what would happen in a world if that were the case, if all prices moved together. So why does it matter to distinguish between the short run and the long run? And the answer comes in the shape of our aggregate supply curves. On the short run aggregate supply curve, we are going to see a curve that has an increasing slope, demonstrating that when price level increases, production of real GDP in the short run will increase. And when price level decreases, production in the short run of real GDP will decrease. Why does this happen, though, and what does this have to do with the idea of the short run and stickiness? The answer is that we know that producers are motivated by profits. And so if we imagine a world in which the price level is here, and maybe we'll call this price level 100, and output in our economy is at output level number 1. Well, what happens to producers as price level begins to rise, as price level maybe goes up 20% to 120? Well, in this scenario, in the short run, a business, let's imagine a car producer, is going to be able to charge 20% more for their cars because all prices in the economy are rising 20%, so they'll be able to increase the price of their cars by 20%. But because of stickiness, some of their costs, potentially the cost of the wages they pay to their workers, but potentially even the cost of the steel, if they are buying steel on a contract from another producer, some of their costs will not increase. And that means they can charge 20% more for a car, but pay the same to make the car. And that increase in profitability is going to encourage the producer to produce more. In essence, they're going to say, we can make so much more, we might as well buy more steel and hire more workers, because steel and workers are cheap at these lower prices, these stuck prices, while the car itself is able to be sold for more money. So this quote-unquote profit motive enables producers to take advantage of stuck prices. We can also really quickly imagine this in the reverse. What would happen if prices were to suddenly drop by the same approximate 20%? If prices in the economy were to drop very suddenly, and the car producer had to drop the price of a car, they would not be able to pay their workers less, and they would not be paying less for steel. And so they would be making less money per car, and they would begin to lay workers off and begin to buy less steel. And in essence, they would say, we're going to make less stuff. But how is this different from the long run? So let's transition to talking about the long run supply curve, the LRAS, and talk about why the LRAS is going to look different in a model where all prices are suddenly flexible. And the LRAS is going to be a vertical curve. It's going to be a vertical curve at what we call YP, or potential output. This is going to be because when prices are all flexible, if the price level in the economy were to increase by that same 20% that we were just talking about, then all prices would double or go up by 20% simultaneously. Every single worker would make 20% more. Every single piece of steel would cost 20% more, and the car would cost 20% more. And so this profit motive that existed in the short run, when the producer could increase prices without increasing wages and costs, would not exist. So we would say prices go up, but as prices go up, so do the costs of everything that the producer has to use to produce the good. So if prices and costs are rising together, the producer has no new profit motive to produce more. And so that means that this level of output in the long run must be special. It must be the amount of production that's going to happen, in essence, regardless of price level. No matter where we put our price level in this economy, we're going to see the same level of output. We call that level of output YP, or output at potential, or potential output. We'll also sometimes call this YFE, FE standing for output at full employment, indicating that the unemployment rate is at the natural rate of unemployment if we are using all of our resources to the ability and the best that we can. So, last quick note on this. We always have to talk about what shifts these curves. And we're going to start with something that is pretty easy on one side. When it comes to the LRAS, we are going to say that there are no shifts in the LRAS for right now. I do not want you to think about shifting the LRAS. We're going to place the LRAS on our graph, but we're not going to shift it. But for the SRAS, our shifts have to do with generally 3 to 4 different factors. And all of these factors have to do with the factors of production. Because the supply curve, remember, is going to be our productivity curve. So, big idea number 1 is going to be productivity in general. If our factors are more productive, then our economy can produce more and our producers can produce more regardless of price level. Factor number 2, as always, is going to be technology. Technologies, of course, will enable our producers to produce more regardless of price. Factor number 3 is going to sound really familiar, and that is going to be input costs, aka resource costs. If, regardless of price level, resources begin to cost more, especially resources like wages, then production in the economy is going to go down. So this is going to be an inverse relationship. As the cost of production goes up, the SRAS curve is going to shift to the left. And lastly are going to be laws and regulations that specifically affect production and producers.